The New Orleans Saints have had a disappointing season, except they've had one bright spot, and that has been their new rookie, Taliese Fuaga. So I want to take a look how good of a season he's actually had, and why I think he is a franchise left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Before I go into his rookie season, I do want to talk about how I saw him going into the NFL draft. I think he was the third best offensive tackle in this draft behind Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt. So this is my little synopsis I did have on him. The 6'6 big man is a mauler. Fuaga, for his size, is very athletic, a very good run blocker that can move people, does very well in space as a run blocker. Fuaga is a solid pass blocker that has great technique with his hands and can stop power moves. He will struggle at times to keep up with edge rushers with more speed and finesse, as he is 330 pounds and he is 6'6". Overall, he is a talented tackle that should have a lot of teams interested, and of course we saw that throughout the whole draft process. And I think he's shown, in my opinion, pretty accurately of that little quick synopsis there. Again, I thought he was a big mauler at his size, 6'6", 330. He was a top run blocker in this offensive tackle draft class. Good in space, I think, for the most part. Solid in pass pro, I think, again, the athletic guys, the speed guys, with a little bit more finesse would get at him. And I think we could possibly see that here in the NFL as we look throughout his season. And then, again, a little slow. But I think that was a fair synopsis and kind of thought process of him going through the draft process. But now let's go ahead and take a look at his season, the good things and maybe some of the not good things about Taliese Fuaga. This is how we're going to kind of structure the video, me talking about Taliese. It's going to be run blocking, and then it's going to be pass blocking. And then after each section, I'm going to look at a few plays and kind of talk about them as I do run it. So with the pro for run blocking, he's big. Mass moves mass, and I feel like I saw that plenty of times throughout the film. I do have a few clips that I will show that off, but again, 330, 6'6", mass moves mass, and he holds the weight well. He's not like really big, or he's not like really fat. I mean, or it's not bad on him, and he can move well with that weight, and it's not really holding him down, and he doesn't look sluggish with that weight. So that's very good. I think he does a good job at getting inside, or at least trying to get inside. I think he refits really well as a run blocker. Or, I think in both sides, but I think more pass, but we'll get to that later. But again, he gets his hands inside for the most of the time. I think he's really good at making sure that happens, so there's no flag, of course. And even if he can't get a full grasp on the guy, again, there's no holding, and he's not reaching around somebody to, diving his whole body at him or whatever like that, and that leads to a flag or whatever. I think he works well in space and to the next level most of the time. I think sometimes he'll struggle getting to next level and, trying to get to the linebacker. And that was one of his cons, is that like a smaller linebacker will get the best of him, in my opinion. Small, quick linebacker. But I think for most part, he does a good job at trying to get the hands inside at least. And even if he doesn't, I don't see him often going outside of, and that would ultimately lead to a holding call. So that's very good with Taliese Fuaga, in my opinion. And so those are the big things with run blockers, that he's an overall mass, big guy, mass moves mass. And he gets inside well, that gives him a lot of leverage. And I think he works well with that. And I think getting to the next level is he does pretty good at it. At least, again, smaller linebackers might give a little bit of trouble towards him, but he's athletic enough to get to the next level. And if he gets his hands on you, I don't know if you're really going to go anywhere, because he does so well at getting his hands inside. And so with the kind of negatives, the cons of his run game is, I looked at that Chiefs game. That Chiefs game was not great. Obviously, you were going against one of the best guys in Chris Jones, right? And so that's obviously such a hard task for any rookie offensive tackle. And I think him reach blocking, he struggles with. Even if he does have a little bit of leverage, I think getting off there and getting into the reach block kind of struggles. But again, it is super hard when you don't have the best leverage, which I think he didn't have when he was trying to lots of the time, because that Chiefs game definitely wasn't great when it comes to reach block. And of course, like I said, he will struggle with guys who are kind of more pure athletes that don't have too much else in the bag, because I think, again, he does well against the power. He does, well with guys who may just not have too many moves and might just try to go straight at him. I think he does a good job there. And so I think overall, Taliese Fuaga, those are kind of his pros and cons as a run blocker. PFF has him at a 70.3. He's had 292 snaps as of when I'm recording this. So, again, I don't think much would change through one game because I am recording this on a Sunday, so, it isn't fully updated, but that shouldn't change much. So those are kind of my thoughts there for him in the run game. So let's look at a few clips. All right, let's take it the first play here. This is one where I'm like, mass moves mass. And so we have Taliese Fuaga right here. And this is against Derrick Brown. This is against one of the best defensive interior guys in the NFL. And he absolutely moves them, especially on the run. He is one of the best run defenders in the league and absolutely moves him, right? So Taliese Fuaga right here gets inside, gets great leverage against Derrick Brown. He gets his hands inside, and he keeps riding him out. And obviously, again, he's eventually going to get help here from, I believe that's Foster Moreau. But he does a great job getting leverage against Derrick Brown and riding him out. His hands are inside, and he keeps moving him. And again, creating a great lane for Alvin Kamara to run. And takes Derrick Brown pretty much out the play. And again, that's just a great play there by Taliese Fuaga as we talk about moving mass. But again, he does a great job at getting his hands inside and great athleticism to keep moving with Derrick Brown and keeping that hole there for him and leading away for Alvin Kamara. Because this is a hole how far away from the line of scrimmage? And he's not being, deterred by anybody. Nobody's touching him. He probably got touched throughout the play, but nobody's touching him right now. So he's pretty much, he could get full of steam and head out. But of course, he comes in right now. But that's just a great job there by Taliese Fuaga, leading a great path for Alvin Kamara. All right, this is a really good play by Taliese Fuaga. And here he gets, and this is where we're gonna have everybody go to the left here and kind of seal a wall here for Jamal Williams. And that's what Taliese Fuaga does such a good job at. Gets to the next level. He has a good athleticism to go downhill. And he sees 54 coming in, just moves him out the play. And Jamal Williams pretty much goes untouched for a touchdown. You're going to see this angle here from the end zone. And again, great job. Taliese Fuaga on this left side. He just goes. Looks for anybody in his way. He gets to where you want the hole to be, and that's to be right in between him and this fullback tight end kind of coming in. Takes out the first guy he sees inside in Shaq Thompson, and he takes him out the play. And then obviously great job by the 46 to get him, because he was arguably the only other guy that could probably make a play that didn't have a guy on him. And, that's just a great hole. That's just a great way to make a hole for your running back for him to enter the end zone. So he had a pretty good game against the Carolina Panthers, and he also had a pretty good game against the Dallas Cowboys. One of the clips we're going to look at next. All right, next play here. It's going to be a touchdown to Alvin Kamara. And this is where he gets to the next level. He gets to the linebacker, gets his hands inside, and moves him. And so, of course, you really could say the play wasn't going towards him, but if this was clogged up, which arguably it was, like Alvin Kamara could have cut back inside. He had the two options if he wanted to go straight ahead, if he really wanted to, which he did. Or, if he made the cut a little sooner, he could have gone inside, could have gone fully outside. This is just a really good play by the offensive line for the Saints, who had an incredible day against the Cowboys, as I remember, looking back, and I'm just like, man, they had a really good game versus some team early in the season. It was the Cowboys. And Taliese Fuaga goes, gets to the next level, and absolutely takes the linebacker out of the play that could have shot through that hole that we were seeing earlier and could have made the play, but he couldn't. And so again, great job by Taliese Fuaga getting to the next level and absolutely kind of dominating. So those are kind of the plays I like, we talk about here when we were talking about getting to the next level, moving mass, getting his hands inside. That is great from Taliese Fuaga. And right here's another play when we talk about the Chiefs, and this is one of the ones I want to show you that wasn't really great. We talked about the reach blocking. as you can see, it wasn't great. It'd probably be better from the end zone angle, but I want to see both angles, of course. Taliese Fuaga on his own. And this is, again, a hard ask for an offensive lineman, especially a rookie one, to go and try to reach block Chris Jones when he's in the 3 tech, it looks like. If not, he's just in the gap. Even if, he's on a inside of Taliese Fuaga in a 4-eye, that would still be hard to do, especially because Chris Jones has leverage, and of course Chris Jones is such an explosive player. But the goal is here to reach block him, get around him, get the leverage, so Chris Jones can't make the play, and ultimately he can't, and Chris Jones makes the play, of course with some other help. But again, I know they're not asking Taliese Fuaga to get fully around him. Obviously, that would be ideal, and that's kind of what they are asking him to do. But they shouldn't expect that of Taliese Fuaga, and arguably any left tackle to do that, especially if he looked like he was lining up in the 3 in the 3 technique, not a 3-eye, but in a 3 technique right on the outside of the offensive guard there. But there are some similar plays like that throughout the season so far in through versus the Chiefs. So I just wanted to point that out and show y'all. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the pass game for Taliese Fuaga. Now, Taliese Fuaga isn't as polished as a pass blocker as he's a run blocker, but that doesn't mean he's been bad in any means. PFF does grade him at a 55.5, which isn't terrible because 60 is like, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to do. So a little under is definitely a little disappointing, but again, I don't think that's terrible, and I don't think you should take the PFF grade and look at it and be like, oh no, because obviously there is a lot more nuance to that. He does have 404 snaps as a pass blocker, and so that definitely does play in it, versus just a little under 300 for a run blocking versus over a little over 400. So that definitely, there is more sample size to go off that, and so maybe there is a few more bad plays than there is versus the run. So that just had to put that out there. And so what I really like about Taliese Fuaga is his hand fighting, and this is throughout his entire repertoire of run blocking and pass blocking, because he is very good with his hands. He hand fights. He refits very well to get his hands back inside. So again, they're not outside, and he's not holding anybody. And I don't necessarily know what the flags are, and I'm hoping that there isn't many holding flags from Taliese Fuaga, and I'm just looking very stupid right now. But he does a very good job at hand fighting, mirroring his defender with his hands, getting their arms out the way, their hands out the way, so where they can really not touch him. And so he does a really good job at refitting and all that stuff, especially for somebody that has under average arm length for an offensive tackle. I'm not saying they're inherently short, but they are under average. So that's really good from Taliese Fuaga, and I think he extends his arms really well. He gets his arms out there. There's this one play where he just punches a dude and he just falls down, and it's absolutely amazing. We'll show that one. So that's kind of where I'm at there with his passing game, his pass blocking. The Browns game was really good, of course, went against Myles Garrett and pretty much held him in check. So that was, again, really good for Taliese Fuaga, and I think the biggest negative about that is that speed kills with him. If you got speed, if you want to try to go dip maybe around him or just beat him with pure speed around the edge, he will struggle at that from time to time, and that is inherently what you see in the tape, and that's what you're going to get, especially for a rookie guy that's 6'6", 330. So that's kind of my quick analysis on his passing game. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few clips. Okay, we're taking a look again at the Panthers game. Taliese Fuaga, left tackle, pass block. I think does a really good job here against 94, who kind of bull rushes him. Let's take a look at the end zone clip here. Got Taliese Fuaga, 94, who did have some good plays against Taliese Fuaga, but he goes up, obviously not too far to where it's a penalty. But he kind of bull rushes him, kind of gets to the side, but he's just ultimately leaning too much. The offensive line 94 is, and Taliese Fuaga does a really good job at using that to his advantage and kind of chopping him down a little bit, refitting, getting inside, so he can't really get back up and make a play on Taliese Fuaga and eventually get to the quarterback. So again, I think that's a really good job there by Taliese Fuaga. This is another really good play by him versus the Atlanta Falcons. Guy coming off the edge is going to go inside. But the one thing you can't do, especially on a pass play, is lose inside, and Taliese Fuaga does a very good job at letting him go inside, but just pushing him into the mesh, all the mess over here, and letting Derek Carr kind of roll out. So, because again, you can't really, at that point, you can't really get him back outside, so he just does a good job in pushing him into the mess so he can kind of relocate this pocket that Derek Carr had. And he does a good job, swiping away his hands, so he couldn't really get a good hold on him to make a play, and ultimately, again, takes the edge rusher out of the play. As we look one more time here, he tries to make a move, but his hand has not made much contact or much effect to Taliese Fuaga, and does a very good job at that. We're back with the Falcons, and this is the one where I was talking about extending his hands and really giving a good punch. Boom, right there. End zone clip will of course give us a better look. Taliese Fuaga at the left tackle spot. Interior guy comes down. He's gonna work down the inside, or outside, down the line. 64 kind of just leaves him. Doesn't really do much to him, and he doesn't see him coming. Who was that? 55? That's not. No. Was it 95? Doesn't see Taliese Fuaga really at all. Punches him. He's on the ground. That is a really good play there by Taliese Fuaga. Another thing is that pass pro is not passive. Though nobody is coming from the outside like this linebacker possibly could have, he's still looking at the guy coming inside, just takes care of him. And 64 is not a good offensive lineman as I've watched throughout this film. So Taliese Fuaga giving that really good punch and ultimately knocking the dude on the ground with a lot of power and strength, which Taliese Fuaga does have. So we have two clips here from this Browns game that was really good. Taliese Fuaga against Myles Garrett. Tries to go to the outside. Myles Garrett can't do much. He can't, it doesn't really give him a chance to counter or anything, because Myles Garrett's trying to go outside. There's, ultimately. And he is trying to, again, set the edge, but he's trying to get around him, and Taliese Fuaga does not let him. And so, but there is, again, the guard does kind of come, and so he can't really go back inside. But arguably, Myles Garrett commits all the way outside to where Taliese Fuaga kind of takes away that from him to go inside. Because if he does try to go inside, even without the guard, which I think the guard ultimately probably should have been helping him, but I digress. He tries to go under, but Taliese Fuaga stops it. The ball is already out. Good job by Taliese. And so that's one really good rep versus Myles Garrett. And so we have another one right here against Myles Garrett, left tackle. Now he tries to bull rush him. He tries to go straight inside, and Fuaga is having absolutely none of it. Tries to go inside. Now, I will say Taliese Fuaga doesn't do a great job at getting his hands inside, but look at that. Did you see that? Great way of holding your ground and refitting, getting your hands inside. Amazing job. And I don't think Myles Garrett did his self a great favor, as he goes inside but just couldn't extend on Taliese Fuaga to get him away from him. And so he does a great job slowing himself down, refitting, and holding Myles Garrett just enough so he can still contain somewhat of the pocket. And so Derek Carr could throw the ball downfield that ultimately got intercepted. But again, good job by Taliese Fuaga. Amid the disappointing season for the New Orleans Saints, they do have a franchise left tackle in the making. So congrats, New Orleans Saints fans. At least you have something to look forward to. But everybody watching, comment down below, what are your thoughts on Taliese Fuaga in this kind of possible franchise left tackle in the making? What do you guys think? But this is all my thoughts on Taliese Fuaga. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.